Today we're going to be putting together a bookshelf, or in my case it's going to be a Blu-ray case, DVD shelf, Blu-ray shelf. This is a really nice one by Atlantic. Walmart sells it. You can find it on eBay and some other places, but check this one out and I'll show you what one looks like already assembled. And I actually made a mistake on this. I'll show you, but you can see it's really nice with all the Blu-rays and everything. I actually put this one in backwards, so I learned my lesson, so we won't repeat that stupid mistake. But by the time I realized my mistake, it was way too late to do anything about it. So I mean, I was going to have to take it all apart, and this is not the kind of thing you want to make a mistake on, because this wood can break pretty easily and things can go bad. So I made this little mistake. I need to just paint this black or something, because that's in obviously backwards, but that's what it looks like fully done. And we're going to put another one here right next to it. Step one, I'm going to take these little screws, these little black things, and you're going to pop them in like this to 8 different of these panels. Make sure when we put these in, the arrow is pointing towards the hole. Arrow pointed towards the hole. And they're going to go, really self-explanatory, they go right at the end for 4 of them. And then for the other 4, there's going to be 2. So 4 of these have 2 holes at the end, A, B, C, and D. And then E, F, G, and H are going to have 1 hole each. And just pop this in. And I got these right out of here. And you can see it comes with all these pieces and parts right here. And there are instructions, but I'm going to I've done this before once, and the instructions are not always that clear. So we're going to work with the instructions, as well as I'll just kind of show you step by step what it's going to look like to do it properly. So once you put all these in, we're going to grab I and J. It should be these 2 right here. I'll have letters on them. You can see this is I. Just put it here on top. I and J. J is right here. This on the top. J. And we'll be working with these now. P. So come over here. I'm just going to pop this open. Pop that open like that. Super easy. Barely an inconvenience. So we'll grab these P right here. And this is critical that you screw this in the right direction. Otherwise it's going to be all bad. In this case, it's kind of self-explanatory, because only one side has these little white rings here where we're going to screw them into. The other side doesn't have those. So it's pretty self-explanatory here, but you got to be careful every time. Sometimes it won't be so self-explanatory. But anyway, we're going to screw these into here. We'll just do it hand tight at first. Then you can use a screwdriver to tighten it down. And we're just going to put these in for I and J and all of these little white rings. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6. And then we'll repeat for J. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6. So, like I say, once you've got it in there hand tight, screw it in with a screwdriver. Once you start seeing it kind of get snug there, it's good enough. You don't have to keep turning it forever. It gets in there pretty good. It doesn't really tighten. It just gets nice and snug. That's how we want it. So, screwed all those in. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, and same thing over here. And now the first real critical moment is with board number or letter J. So we screwed these in. They're nice and snug. So after you screw those in, we're going to take these little wood pegs in O. Just put them in these blank spaces to give it just a little more security when we put it in. These will go on both I and J. These go on I and J. So I'm going to place C on the ground like this, with the 2 screws facing inward. Then I'm going to place board J just like that on top here and screw them in right here. These 2 screws. There's already a couple holes to facilitate it. C, holes facing in. J, pegs facing upwards. Try to get it a good 90 degrees. I have this sitting on a little bench here just to make it a little easier. Could use electric. I have electric stuff, but for this project, this wood is so weak I just don't want to break it or screw up too bad. No pun intended. So Don't over tighten it. Once you get it there, just you feel it start to tighten. There's a teeny quarter turn, not even that, just a little more, and we're good. The next one, same thing. It's getting tight and tight, and a little more. That's good. It's good. You tighten it too much, the whole thing will break. So we have C attached to J right here. We also want to attach now G. So let's go grab G. So this one though, this one has holes on both sides. Holes on both sides on G. So which one faces in, which one faces out? We have to get it right. Actually, we want to look at this other one. We see one side of those holes is closer to the edge than the other. So we want the side that's closer to the edge to be the same like this. So it's going to go like this. Closer to me are the holes that are closer to the edge. Closer to me and are the holes that are closer to the edge, if that makes sense. And then the two little holes. So this one will go under here, just like this. Another secret to make sure you're putting it right is the black all is facing in one direction, and you can see the other side is brown. This one goes under here, and we'll screw those in to that. And we'll just double check. The hole's closer, holes are closer. Holes are on both sides, but we know this is right. This is with the little teeny holes. That's for the screws. So we've got this here, and we're going to screw them in. Kind of made to make it easier. Going right into that hole. The other side, I'm going to line it up so it's going to go right into there. Take note, these ones go in here, not in the small one. They go in the little bit of bigger holes. The bigger holes where the screw goes, not in this. The next is H, same exact thing as the one we just did. So we find H, we make sure standing, the little holes are gonna be what we screw into, not the big giant freaking holes there. No, no, no. Little holes facing same way. So the holes closer to the edge, facing me, just like the other two. And we're gonna do the same thing. Put this under here, screw them in with these. Okay, so screwing this one in. Get it pretty much all the way. It's starting to tighten. Now I'm getting some real tightness there. A little bit more. That's good. Never too tight. Never too tight. See? Boom, boom, boom. 3. And the last one is going to be D. So we have letters C, G, H, and D. Here's what it looks like on the instructions. You can see D, just like C, the holes will face in. Here's D. Holes face in, and we make sure it's not the big holes, it's the little teeny holes. So if we face the holes in, use the teeny holes, they will line up with the ones closer to the edge, closer to me, and then we're going to screw those in to complete this little section here. Tighten those in. Double check as you go. What are we checking for? We want to make sure holes are closer to the edge on the all same, closer to the edge, holes closest to the edge, holes closer to the edge. Outside should be no holes. Outside, no holes. You can even check, make sure you got the right panel. C, G, H, and D. C, G, H, and D. That's pretty critical. This is even more so. You need a lot of space to be able to lay it down, because we're going to have to lift it later, and it's going to have to be laid down. This is pretty much the highest I can make it right now, or you start running into trouble. So we're going to now take this and lay it flat down, just like that. We're going to keep in mind how everything's lined up, so we put them in right, because next we're going to actually put in some more of these panels using those screws, those black screws we put in earlier. We want to make sure C is facing to the left here, and it is. C is facing to the left, holes in. We've already double checked everything. We know this is G, and the holes are facing in. This is perfect. And what we want to do now is, as you can see, I'm going to take A, E, F, and B, and they're going to have little holes. Now we're going to use the big hole side to put into those screws that we put in, then tighten them. I'll show you. We'll start with A. Here's A. Ensure that the holes are closest to the edge going down just like they are here, and that the screws are facing inward. These little screws you see here that we put in at the very beginning are facing inward, and you can see now we're dealing with the big holes, not the little sissy holes, the big holes, okay? They're gonna go in here like this. These screws that we put in earlier, making sure it's pointed towards the hole with that little arrow. Okay, lift this up, holes facing closer to the edge down, closest to the edge down, screws facing inwards, and they will slip right into there. So just a little bit of adjustment and you can see they go right in. So I'm starting here at this bottom one, I'm turning it and it gets tightened, locks in place. Get this one, turning it, tightens, locks in place. And now this is locked in. Important to not over tighten, you'll break it. As soon as you feel it start to get nice and snug, pretty much stop. Maybe a teeny bit more, but you know, just use common sense. If you feel it starting to, if it feels too tight, you're good. It's in there. It doesn't need to be super tight. This is made once you turn these, it's made to tighten up and get a good grip here. Now we take board E, same thing. The holes closer to the edge go at the bottom. Double check this one is already that way. It should be. Check that. And this time, what the fuck? This one was manufactured wrong or something, because to line up the holes, it has to go like this, big hole there, like this, but then this part's facing out. It needs to be like this, so the black part's facing up, but look, now the holes are not correct. So I feel like this was manufactured wrong. You can see here in the list of what we have here, E, hold right here, E, and these holes are supposed to be up here. The holes are down here, so this was made wrong. I have to put it in, it's going to be jacked up with the wood facing out. This one has a defect. It needs to go in like this. Or if I do it like that, any way that the holes are facing are lining up, the brown side is up. There's no way to make the black side up and have these holes line up with the rest. This is a defect. It's a defect. I don't see any other way around it. Okay, so here's E. This is E right here. This face is like this. You can see that's wrong. It needs to be like this. This is a defect because this color is facing out. This is how this would be. Holes are closer, holes are farther, and we have the wrong side facing out. This needs to be returned. This is a defect. We have to return this because there's no way. I screwed up this one. That was my own fault. This is not my fault. This should be black facing out. This is a fuck up. Walmart sent me, this is not right. Okay, so I started a return. We're going to return this and I'll just continue the tutorial when I get the new item because this is genuinely wrong. As you can see, when we line the holes up, they're all, the black, as I explained, the black is supposed to be on the side where it's deeper, not as close to the edge. And it's just, this panel's wrong. It was screwing me up. This panel is incorrect. So I'm going to have to repackage this up. I'll put a little note on this panel and say that this panel is, this one right here, E, is wrong. I'm sorry, this is wrong. If I put this together, this whole side will be brown. And what do we have here? We have the replacement. Sent the defective one back, and so I'm going to put this together. We'll just proceed where I left off, and hopefully this one is okay. Okay, so I'm back to this point. Now, it looks like all of them are lined up properly this time, so I don't think this one is defective. So, same thing. I'm going to put it in here with this side, and then we're going to be turning the screws that we put in earlier and making sure it's pointed towards the hole. It's going to go A, E, F, B. So here we have A, And we know that the brown side will be facing up because the rest of, as I laid it down, brown is facing up. It's going to go on this side. This side doesn't have a big hole, so it's all self-explanatory. That was right. So A, and you see it goes in. Before I do it, I want to make sure those arrows are facing the right way. The arrow facing the hole. And we're going to tighten these two. That's A. We'll repeat that just like the instructions say for here, here, here. Make sure facing the right way with black up. The last one was defective because it was impossible for me to do it with the right side up. This one looks like it's okay. Okay, so I've screwed each of those in. This one should be on this side, and this one's right here. And there's two right here. Only about a quarter of the way. If you go any farther than that, it could break. Be very careful when tightening those. So very sensitive. Very, very sensitive. If you do screw up and break one, I mean, probably be okay, but so I got all those tightened. Let's proceed to the next step. Here we take board K. I'm going to lay it down right at the end here, just like that. And that'll be the bottom of the shelf. That's where it sits. And we're just going to screw that in with the screws just like this. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8. There'll be little indentions to make that easy. I'm using the same screws we used earlier. T. So pretty self-explanatory there. Screw those babies in. Make sure black is facing up, obviously. All black looks up. Could be obviously, as I proved, could be if you see one that doesn't work, it could very well be a defective unit. So far this one's looking good. I'm going to now screw those in. Okay, so I made sure that they're all lined up, going right into the little indentions here, so that I know it's all good. Now I'm going to tighten them. So I kind of did that first. Didn't tighten them all the way. I made sure they were in the proper spot. Like I said, I can just put them in. Maybe shine a flashlight or light if you need to down in there, or your phone, and make sure it's going right into that little indenture. And now I'm going to tighten all the 8 of these up. All right, so that's in. That's tightened up. That's the bottom. Now for the top. It's time to screw some more of those little screws we put in earlier. This is I. This one can only go on one way, right? Not like that. Like this. Okay, this will just go right in like this. And then we'll tighten these again just like before. Just about make sure the arrow's facing. I'm going to turn it just about a quarter of the way, just until it's firm. Okay, tighten all of these. And it's pretty much skeletons put together. Just got to put on the back now. Okay, so we have N and M. Both have stickers on them, N and M. N goes at the bottom. And we nail these in. And this one it'll just be like a puzzle. And it'll connect right with this when the time comes. Once we nail them all in, it'll be like a puzzle. Make sure the brown is facing outwards so that when you look inside the case, it looks good with that black. Okay. And the last step is just take these little little nails. I'm going to hammer them in across. Make sure it's flush here. This one will go up to here. It'll connect very nicely right here. And it'll go all the way up to the top here. And I'll put in a few nails just to keep it in place. Very carefully turn it over so it'll be easier to put all the other nails in. Just follow along and put them in here wherever there's a little indentation. And that's it. All right, sorry to jump ahead, but I had a few problems here. The thing looked like it was going to fall apart. I kind of had to rush and hammer in the back here, like I showed you, get it right side up. Putting it right side up as soon as possible helps the gravity kind of put everything into place. And anyway, so I put it up against the wall. You put these two things, these little anchors in. There's little dents on the top, little indentations. The small screw goes here, and then you can drill these little screws in, but there's a little anchor as well. And I did that by kind of putting a screwdriver in the wall. For me, I needed this for the drywall. Put a little anchor in, and then I screwed this in on both sides. So keep that in place right here. And this is a wrap here. All we got to do now is you just take these little pegs, you line them up wherever you want, and once you do that, you go ahead and put in your little shelves, put in your shelving, and it ends up like this. So I'm going to do that now. So I'm going to go and do that how I like it. I'm going to put all my DVDs and everything, and we'll see what it looks like. Okay, dokie, and we're good. So it took a little time, and a little strip of electrical tape, and it kind of covered this brown part that I messed up on pretty good. And I think I just gave it a shot, and I was like, dang, that actually looks quite good. This is on the back. This was on backwards, if you remember, and I was going to paint it or something. I tried this electrical tape. We'll see if it stays, but for now, it looks freaking awesome. Can't even tell, really. And yeah, that's it. And you could see, you could put CDs as well. Put some CDs here. And that's how you put this thing together. Just gotta be really careful. Very careful.